Hello, and thank you for taking your time viewing this short video that I hope will provide you with some helpful vocabulary for reading articles of literary criticism associated with this course in technology and literature. Okay, um, mostly I'm going to be providing a vocabulary and trying to situate these terms in ways that will be helpful for you as you encounter the works of literature. Um, Broadly speaking, what you study as a scholar of literature is the use of language, genres. Works are placed in time periods, and all of these use of language, diverse genres, and the periods have their requisite narrative techniques. With use of language, sometimes we focus upon the sound quality, rhythm, images, use of symbols, the occurrence of dialogue, and the general quality of the prose. Uh, with genres, we'll be enjoying a lot of them in this course. Short stories, novels, might sneak a poem in there. Um, but also genres go to broader expectations, such as you have in a Western or science fiction. Um, and then you also study periods, basically for sequences of trends and reactions through time. I will come back to all of these later. But one thing that, particularly those of you that may have a relatively recent background in the study of literature, is since the end of the 20th century, much literary criticism focuses on ideological concerns such as gender or race. Okay, use of language, and you can focus extremely specifically if you wish here. Certainly useful with regard to poetry, um, because literature that was originally studied at the school were um, uh, classical works in Latin and Greek. It won't surprise you that some of the terminology is actually borrowed from Greek. So when we speak of the rhythm of a poem, it's designated by Greek terminology. For instance, Shakespeare writes an iambic pentameter, which is five metrical feet of unstressed and stressed. Um, this is more in the way of pedestrian interest than what will really be useful for you in this course. Um, Likewise, when we speak of language quality, we focus on what's called prosody. Consonants and assonants are terms that identify repetition of consonants and vowel sounds within a line or a stanza or an entire work. These are said to bind language and make it perhaps easier to remember for old bards that had to recite Beowulf from memory. Obviously, rhythm and prosody can be discussed in prose as well. Um, Also focusing on dialogue, how the character speech, where that comes in, what they say, how they say it, and also an element of there's called dialogics, which is a way that the prose itself may at one point be presented from one point of view, and then later presented from another point of view, and these two points of view somehow come into a dialogue with each other. Well, we actually do see this in the works of Philip K. Dick. Likewise, genre is going to be very important here because we are going to be working an awful lot in the science fiction genre, but also in the thriller genre and others. Now, genre can have a focus on the actual structure. A novel, which is a book, you sit down, you read it over time. A short story, a prose work, you read it in one sitting. A sonnet, a work of poetry that has 14 lines, arranged in a particular rhyme scheme, likewise with a limerick. So the structure can determine the genre. But often it's how a work that is marketed. Back when we had lots of bookstores, it was easy to ask, okay, where is this work sold in the bookstore? Is it in the Western section? Is it next to the checkout counter with the chewing gum, like the nurse novels are at the supermarkets in Norway? Is it in the science fiction section? Is it in the fantasy section? Is it in horror? Is it biography? Is it autobiography? Is it history? Um, and that brings with it a set of expectations. Uh, you wouldn't have flying cars in a Western, and you probably don't have a lot of horses in science fiction novels. Sometimes the overall tone may indicate the genre. For instance, with Gothic horror or satire, we will come back to both of those in the course. Um, Also, some market genres have structural aspects as well, and this is particularly clear with science fiction. Okay, narrative techniques. This is just a selection. Again, if you are well versed in literary studies, you are going to note just how superficial this talk is. But I still feel that since you're going to be students of history and students of philosophy, that it helps us to get this terminology up front. So when we speak of the plot, that's the action, what happens in the story, and how it is presented. The characters, persons in the story, and how they are portrayed. Also, with some expectations of human nature. Are people basically nice? Are they basically evil? Um, um, are they wise? Are they naive? A little bit like you when you deal with regular people, I suppose. Likewise, the setting, the locations, even the entire world in which the story can take place. Um, Point of view is, for me, particularly interesting. How is the story told in terms of the way it comes from author to the reader? Is there an overarching, all-knowing voice that provides the narration, tells the story? Or is it a character within the work? Are there multiple points of view in the work? Does the narrative follow several different characters? In film, is there an authoritative voiceover, as there was in the very first version of Blade Runner? Um, is irony present? Are the reader's expectations challenged? Um, Also, um, how does time work? How does the narrative flow and time work together? Does the author use flashbacks, or is the time merely sequential? Is there some gesture in the realm of psychological reality? Does some of the text imitate the random aspects of thoughts? Is internal monologue present? Do characters talk to themselves, or are there internal thoughts included into the prose? Um, Periods of American literature or periods of all literature are largely up for discussion. There are no hard and fast periods, as the Abrams article I will include for your inspection in this module will verify. But in American literature, we start with colonial period, largely practical literature, enlightened political texts, um, compelling sermons that were presented at church. This after American independence, we have national literature, early national literature. Washington Irving kind of sits here, as I reckon James Fenimore Cooper would. After that, Romanticism, more emphasis on feelings, symbols, uh, um, sometimes more emphasis on nature. Certainly the case with English Romanticism, British Romanticism. Um, and then once we get tired of literature that contains symbolisms and emphasis uh, feelings and so forth. We go into realism and naturalism, and these are basically um, real people in real situations, speaking real language. Uh, um, an emphasis on real settings, um, and and also a variety of economic classes may be represented. If it is primarily the lower classes and some point is made of a universe that doesn't really care whether or not you live or die, then we're in the realm of naturalism. And this realism naturalism rubric will be quite important when we get to a discussion of science fiction next week. Um, then, since probably the beginning of the 20th century, so some works are written in modernism, style of modernism. This is, first of all, one may play around with the sequence of time. One may have a variety of points of view. One may have writing that is stream of consciousness. But modernism, and if we look at T.S. Eliot's poem *The Wasteland* as sort of the poster child for this movement, modernism also was reacting to modern life and endeavored to create a system of understanding. I could call it a new mythology that would support civilization. Basically, postmodernism, which we can roughly point to after the Second World War to now, is the same as modernism, except it does not emphasize the task of a new mythology that supports civilization. Some postmodernist literature can actually be said to celebrate the fact that there is no overarching narrative to support our culture. Um, what do you do as a literary scholar? Well, you do close reading or close viewing or close listening of the text. You tend to perform comparisons and contrasts. You will be doing that in in one of your assignments for this course, and by and large, since you are taking this course as a part of a technology study, you are going to be doing critical readings. With regard to technology, what aspects of technology seem to be endorsed? What aspects of technology seem to be criticized? And most importantly, what aspects of technology are not even questions at all, but simply assumed to be the way things are. All right. That was 15 minutes of your life that you will never get back. I thank you for your kind attention. Again, in the module where this is contained, there is a text by a literary critic named Abrams, a PDF file. I invite you to peruse it if these ideas are interesting to you. Bye for now.